So I love that song because it reminds me of the heart posture that I should have when I think about what Christ has done for us on the cross and how he did that for me. He did that for Anna. He did that for all of you. And it's such a personal and intimate thing. But when I think about that, our response should be nothing but gratitude, like the song talks about. And it should be a response of gratitude and joy. And we should want to share that with other people. But sometimes it can be hard to share that. And so I have Anna up here with me. She's one of our sophomores, and she's going to help me kind of think through some of the things that I mentioned a little before. And so the first thing is that it can be challenging and it can be intimidating to talk about Jesus. And so my first question is, why do you think it can be so hard for us to talk about Jesus?
So I think that one of the biggest obstacles that we run into when it comes to just talking about Jesus and sharing our faith is just fear of man. We get so caught up in thinking about what other people are thinking about us and how they're going to respond or react. And that just really challenges us, and I think it scares us a bit when it comes to sharing our faith. Another big challenge that I think doesn't really get talked about as much because it's a little hard to admit sometimes, but honestly, sometimes we just forget. Maybe we don't completely forget, but it's not exactly at the forefront of our mind at all times. So I think that we just get so caught up in living in the moment and being present that we talk about anything but Jesus.
And these are very real challenges and very relatable. I can speak for myself that sometimes I forget to talk about Jesus, and I forget because I get so caught up in talking about other things or how I feel about something else that we just forget, or we're scared of what other people might think. And so my next question is, what are some ways that we can overcome this fear or this hesitancy about talking about Christ, and how can we kind of bring him into the conversation more?
Yeah, I think that really the most important thing is just knowing God more. I think reading his scripture, knowing him, knowing who he is, having a personal relationship with him, I think the more we know about God, the more we know about his scripture, the more it inclines us to share, which also leads me to, you've probably heard, what you fill your mind with and what you fill your heart with, that's what comes out. So if we really just fill our lives to the brim with God and with Jesus and a relationship with him, that just kind of is overflow. Joy is the natural response to that.
Yeah, and I love that reminder from Anna, just that whatever you fill your mind and your heart with is what will come out in your speech and your actions. And just like Anna said, if you're filling your mind with scripture and you're reading his word day after day, then that's going to come out as a natural overflow of your life, out of your love for God and your love to know him more. And so if you're consistently filling yourself with Christ and his word, it's going to come out in how you act, how you treat other people, and what you talk about every day. And so my last question is, after talking about this and knowing that it can be challenging to talk about, what are some practical ways that we can cultivate this joy and kind of overcome this fear of sharing Jesus with other people?
So something that I have done is continued the Luke 2:19 challenge back from December, which is basically just every single day writing down at least one thing and one way that you saw God working that day. And I think that just really helps shift the focus of the day onto what God is doing rather than what maybe happened to you. And ultimately, I think the goal of our lives should be to shift the focus from ourselves to God, because ultimately we are on the earth to worship him, to give him glory and honor. And so I think that it's just a huge change that happens when we change our perspective from living for ourselves to living for him.
I could not have said it better myself. So these are some very practical ways that we can leave this building today and go out and share that joy with other people. Because I know it can be very challenging to want to talk about Jesus with people, especially if we work with them and they don't believe or they don't go to church. But even just like Anna said, and the things that we say, how we treat people, and just bringing him up in those little ways can make a big difference. So I hope you guys really take that to heart and think about that as you leave today. And even if it's just one of those things, pick one and try to do it this week and try to put it into practice to share that joy and that gratitude with other people.